Another one, Coach, where you didn't get what you were expecting here. Where does it go from here?
No, the guys are ready to come out, but we knew this was a real difficult place to play in. Every time we've been here, and whether you ask Thompson, who's played in this division, I've been here, other players, we know the first period is usually really hard here, and you got to weather the storm. And how you got to weather it is you got to stay out of the box, and you got to avoid the turnovers, and those are the two things that we didn't avoid right off the bat, and then it killed us. And when you're behind like that, and the guys, are pushing so hard to, win the games lately, and I think it got a little tough mentally there, and we had to battle the back, and then we kept going back in the penalty box. We spent 15 minutes in the penalty box today, so you can't expect to win a game when you spend 15 minutes in the penalty box. So I think right off the bat we hurt ourselves, and we didn't have what it took to get it back, just because we kept turning the puck over and kept taking penalties, and so that's where it's at.
How difficult is this stretch for you, knowing that your team can play better, but seeing on a repetitive night?
What's tough is we just had two very good games, and the last game, definitely we could have won the last game. We had 40 shots, created lots of scoring chances, and in the first period, in the first 10 minutes, and we talk about things that we needed to do to try to take the momentum away, at least a part of the momentum away from them, is to put pucks on net, and we did the opposite. In the first 10 minutes, we tried to create plays when there was no plays, and they did the opposite. They kept shooting, and they kept putting pucks on net, so they did, they played very well. They did everything they needed to do to have the momentum that they normally get in this rink, and we didn't do what we needed to do to prevent that. And when you're behind the 8 ball, and like I said, you got to play 5-on-5 or in a power play. So no, it's for me, it's every game's a different game. Every day's a different day, and we liked our last two games, and we didn't like this one because we basically sabotaged ourselves in the first period, and after that we didn't do enough to be able to get that back.
What has been your message through the course of this?
The message is always a different one depending on which team that we play, and the message was stick together. The message was work ethic. The message was to make sure that we didn't sabotage ourselves and gave ourselves a chance to win. The last two games we did, and tonight we hurt ourselves, and so we have to make sure the next game that we don't start that way.
When you're in this situation, every aspect of the organization comes under the microscope, and right now there's a lot of questions being asked of your role in all of this. And what message can you bring to these guys to get it turned around?
Organization. What do you?
Like everything's being questioned right now because you've only won one of 12 games.
Yes, of course. When you're having a tough stretch, we question ourselves, everything, and that's what we do every day. We sit down, we look at the things that we do well, and the things that we don't do well, who fits with who doesn't, and we make plans for the next game and the next practice. That hasn't changed, and it doesn't change.
Is it disconcerting that you're making one step forward and two back?
Well, it's the NHL. I mean, you got some good games, and you got other games that you don't. The tough part is times like tonight where you get a goal. It's clearly a goal, but it's not. It doesn't count. So it just shows you that how tough it's been lately, and you're hoping that those breaks are coming to give you some hope. And like it did last game, we were able to score and keep up with the opponent, and that's how you get your confidence. That's how you get your momentum. That's how you get your enthusiasm and your energy. And of course, when you haven't won a lot of games, it goes down a lot faster. But it goes up real fast. And so that's why if you're able to score the first goal, you're able to tie it after they've scored one, then very quick, it goes up real quick, just like it did against LA. If the same previous day, if we would have been able to score on the 2 posts that we got in the first period, that's a totally different enthusiasm that you have and confidence level, because now you feel, okay, something is working, and then you move from there, and then you can draw from that energy. Where tonight we couldn't do that because it's right off the bat. You give them 2 goals, and that's where it becomes heavy. So you need to have first periods where you're in the game so that you can grow from from there and be able to keep the morale where it needs to be, to have the enthusiasm and the energy to maintain what you're doing.
How would you assess the team's morale and how they're handling this?
Oh, they were fine, except I would say now in the second period, that was a tough one. I would say in the second period, because the guys know that the turnovers that we made, the penalties that we took, are things that we needed to avoid. So I think everybody was disappointed in themselves there, because we knew that was the #1 criteria is to get out of that first period and make sure that we're in the game, and then we come back in the second period and we took more penalties and we had more turnovers. And to be honest with you, it's not because the guys are not trying. It's the opposite. They're trying so hard that they get out of their poise and their calm and their confidence because they're trying too much. So sometimes too much is the same as not enough. So I think right now today, different story than another game. So every game is a different story.
I'm sure I meant how would you assess the morale throughout this whole losing stretch?
Oh, I mean, the guys have been. We had a practice this morning, and we had guys that are doing overtime, and guys get on the ice early. Guys are in the gym. Guys are pushing. Guys are on the bench today, trying to. Well, not trying. They are sticking together. Period. So it's we make it a everyday battle. We're not fighting the last 7 games. We're not playing the next 3 games. We're playing one game. We're taking one period at a time, and right now it's next game.
Difficult question, but how do you get your consistency back? Because that's one of the things you guys thrived on, certainly last year and through the first month of the season.
You can't talk about last year. This is a different team.
Yeah.
We got different players, and we need to build a new chemistry, and that's exactly what we're living right now. You look tonight. At some point I put Duchesne and Ryan and Stone together, and all of a sudden they started clicking. So right now it's new players, young defensemen, Chabot and Harper. They're doing their best in there, and Eric is doing his best to groom Harper with them, and same with Dion's doing his best to groom Chabot. With these new players right now, it's that chemistry that we're building, and that's what happens when you're building. Some days you like it, and then whoops, the consistency's gone because it's not the same players that were playing together. So if we had the exact same players playing together, then I'd say I wouldn't understand why some guys don't have chemistry with some other guys, because they've had it before. So I think right now for us it's tonight, out of I think Duchesne had another good one, and so he's getting better every day. So that's a positive one that we want for himself, but I think for the team for the long run. And right now for us, it's not back to the drawing board. It's hey, this was not the way we started. It hurt us too much, and we got to start better the next game. Mainly smarter. It's not a question of harder, smarter.